What's up, everybody? 500 years of European history, 9 units, hundreds of names and dates, and one exam standing between you and a 5. Feeling buried? Here's the good news. The College Board tests the same big ideas every single year, and today we're hitting all of them, unit by unit, the deep version. This is the ultimate AP Euro View, 1450 to the present, the entire course in one run. Stick with me to the very end, and I'll show you the single fastest way to lock all of this in before exam day. Let's get into it. Unit 1, the Renaissance and Exploration, 1450 to 1648. It starts in Italy, where wealthy city-states like Florence and the Medici bankrolled a rebirth. The big idea is humanism, reviving ancient Greek and Roman texts and focusing on human potential, paired with secularism, an interest in the here and now. Machiavelli's The Prince teaches ruling by reality, not ideals. The art glorifies the human body through Leonardo, Michelangelo, and Raphael. Then it spreads north as Christian humanism, with Erasmus mocking church corruption, laying the egg that Luther will hatch. Now the game changes. Around 1450, Gutenberg's printing press makes books cheap, spreading ideas and fueling the Reformation ahead. New monarchs in Spain, England, and France centralize power with armies and taxes. Then Europe sails for God, gold, and glory. Portugal down Africa, Columbus west in 1492, Magellan's cruise circling the globe. New tech, the caravel and astrolabe, made it possible. The result is the Columbian exchange, crops, animals, and deadly disease crossing the Atlantic, triggering a commercial revolution of joint stock companies and mercantilism. Europe turns outward. Unit 2, the Age of Reformation, 1450 to 1648. In 1517, Martin Luther posts his 95 Theses against indulgences, preaching justification by faith alone and scripture alone, and the printing press makes it unstoppable. Protestantism splinters, Calvin's predestination spreads fast, the Anabaptists go radical. In England, Henry VIII's 1534 Act of Supremacy breaks from Rome over a divorce. Rome fights back with the Counter-Reformation, the Council of Trent from 1545 to 1563, the Jesuits, and dramatic Baroque art designed to inspire awe and pull worshippers back. Now the splintering turns bloody. France's wars of religion pit Catholics against Calvinist Huguenots, peaking in the 1572 St. Bartholomew's Day massacre, until Henry IV's 1598 Edict of Nantes grants toleration. Then, the 30 Years' War, 1618 to 1648, devastates the German lands, and watch the arc. It starts Catholic versus Protestant, but ends a power struggle, Catholic France backing Protestants to weaken the Habsburgs. The 1648 Peace of Westphalia ends it, establishing state sovereignty. By 1648, the question stops being whose religion is true, and becomes who holds power. Unit 3, Absolutism and Constitutionalism, 1648 to 1815. The model absolutist is Louis XIV of France, claiming divine right, taming nobles at Versailles, ruling with no parliament. He funds it through Colbert and mercantilism, and in 1685 revokes the Edict of Nantes, driving out the Huguenots. Spain declines as a cautionary tale. Absolutism turns militarized in the east. Prussia's army state under the Hohenzollerns, the sprawling multi-ethnic Habsburg Austria, and Russia, where Peter the Great forces westernization and Catherine the Great rules as an enlightened but harsh absolutist. Now the opposite road, constitutionalism. In England, Charles I tried to rule like an absolutist, sparking the English Civil War, and in 1649 Parliament and Cromwell executed the king. After Cromwell's Republic and the Restoration, Parliament pulled off the peaceful, glorious revolution in 1688, replacing the king with William and Mary, and the 1689 English Bill of Rights gave Parliament real power. That's constitutional monarchy, a king who rules by law. The Dutch Republic adds a merchant-run golden age. One road concentrates power, one checks it. Unit 4, Scientific, Philosophical, and Political Developments, 1648 to 1815. The scientific revolution rewrites the heavens. Copernicus drops the heliocentric model. Kepler proves elliptical orbits. Galileo's telescope confirms it, though the church tries him in 1633 over who defines truth. Then Newton's 1687 Principia ties it together with universal gravitation, proving the universe runs on knowable mathematical laws. Bacon's empiricism and Descartes' rationalism build the scientific method. The course shift, authority moves from ancient texts and the church toward observation, reason, and evidence. Now the payoff. The Enlightenment aims reason at society, the philosophies believing human reason can discover natural laws and improve the world. Lock in the names with their one idea. Locke and natural rights, Voltaire and toleration, Montesquieu and separation of powers, Rousseau and the social contract, Smith and laissez-faire. Wollstonecraft argues for women's rights, and salons and the public sphere spread it all. Then enlightened absolutists like Frederick, Catherine, and Joseph reform from the top while keeping their crowns, enlightened on paper, absolute in practice. Unit 5, Conflict, Crisis and Reaction, 1648 to 1815. France blows up from three causes. The unfair three estates with a tax-exempt clergy and nobility, a bankrupt monarchy, and Enlightenment ideas. The explosion is 1789. The Third Estate forms the National Assembly, swears the tennis court oath, storms the Bastille, and issues the Declaration of the Rights of Man. It radicalizes, the monarchy falls, and in 1793 Louis XVI is executed. Then the Reign of Terror, Robespierre and the guillotine, until the Thermidorian reaction pulls back. Into the chaos steps Napoleon Bonaparte. He seizes power in 1799 and crowns himself emperor in 1804, spreading revolutionary reforms like the Napoleonic Code, even as he rules like a monarch. He conquers most of Europe, but his continental system backfires and his armies accidentally spread nationalism. Then two disasters. The catastrophic 1812 invasion of Russia, and final defeat at Waterloo in 1815. The Congress of Vienna, 1814 to 1815, led by Metternich, restores conservative order, balance of power, and legitimacy. They restored the old map, but could not erase the new ideas. Unit 6, Industrialization and its Effects, 1815 to 1914. Why Britain first? A perfect storm, coal and iron, capital, colonies, an agricultural revolution, and the enclosure movement pushing peasants to the cities. Textiles move into the factory system, James Watt's steam engine powers factories anywhere, and railroads like Liverpool to Manchester slash costs. It spreads west to east, with Germany industrializing fast after 1871. Cities like Manchester explode into overcrowded, disease-ridden slums before reformers build sewers. And a new social order forms, the bourgeoisie who own, the proletariat who labor. Now the battle of ideas over brutal factory conditions. Classical liberalism preaches laissez-faire, free markets, and limited government, Adam Smith and David Ricardo. Socialism answers, why are workers so poor? The utopians, Owen, Fourier, and Saint-Simon, dream of cooperation. Then the heavyweight, in 1848 Marx and Engels published the Communist Manifesto, arguing all history is class struggle, bourgeoisie versus proletariat. But revolution mostly didn't come, workers won through unions and reform instead. Around 1870, a second industrial revolution of steel, electricity, and chemicals makes Germany a rival. Unit 7, 19th Century Perspectives and Politics, 1815 to 1914. Three isms fight over the future: conservatism wanting tradition, liberalism wanting constitutions, and nationalism, the engine that redraws the map. Romanticism worships emotion over the Enlightenment's reason. The revolutions of 1848 erupt almost everywhere, but nearly all fail, teaching that power, not idealism, builds nations. So Cavour and Garibaldi forge Italy by 1861, and Bismarck forges Germany through blood and iron, three wars producing the German Empire in 1871. A new industrial giant sits in the center of Europe. Then Europe turns outward with the new imperialism around 1870, racing to carve up Africa and Asia. At the Berlin Conference of 1884 to 1885, they draw borders on a map with no Africans in the room, and by 1914 nearly all of Africa is European-controlled. They justify it with social Darwinism, survival of the fittest misapplied to races. Back home, three thinkers shatter Europe's confidence. Darwin hits religion, Freud hits reason, Nietzsche hits morality. And the women's suffrage movement, led by British suffragettes, fights for the vote. Unit 8, 20th Century Global Conflicts, 1914 to the present. World War I's long-term causes are Maine, militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. Then the spark, the 1914 assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo. It becomes total war, trench stalemate at the front, whole economies and women mobilized at home. Meanwhile, Russia cracks. In 1917, the Tsar abdicates. Then Lenin and the Bolsheviks seize power, promising peace, land, and bread, creating the world's first communist state. The 1919 Treaty of Versailles blames Germany through the war guilt clause, planting the next war. Then the 1929 Great Depression kills faith in democracy and opens the door to fascism. Mussolini takes Italy in 1922, Hitler becomes chancellor in 1933, and Stalin built a totalitarian USSR through 5-year plans, collectivization, and the Great Purge, opposite ideologies, parallel tools of control. In 1939, Germany invades Poland and World War II begins, blitzkrieg and total war on a vaster scale. The Holocaust is the systematic genocide of 6 million Jews. The war ends in 1945 with the atomic bomb, and Europe lies in ruins, split by an Iron Curtain. Unit 9, Cold War and Contemporary Europe, 1914 to the present. After 1945, the United States and the Soviet Union distrust each other, and by 1946, an Iron Curtain descends, capitalism versus communism. America's answer is containment, the 1947 Truman Doctrine, and the 1948 Marshall Plan pouring dollars into Western Europe. Germany splits, and the Berlin airlift answers Stalin's blockade. In 1949, the West forms NATO, the Soviets, the Warsaw Pact in 1955, a balance of nuclear terror. In 1961, the Berlin Wall slices the city in two. Meanwhile, Europe loses its empires through decolonization, India in 1947, France out of Algeria. The West rebuilds, an economic miracle, the welfare state, and integration starting with the 1957 Treaty of Rome. Behind the curtain, one-party rule and crushed revolts in Hungary and Prague until Gorbachev's glasnost and perestroika. Then the climax. In 1989, the revolutions sweep the bloc and the Berlin Wall falls, and in 1991 the Soviet Union dissolves. The 1992 Maastricht Treaty creates the European Union and the Euro. That's all 9 units, done. Now the exam itself, because knowing the format is 3 points. Section 1. 55 multiple choice questions in 55 minutes, worth 40%, then 3 short answer questions, the SAQs, in 40 minutes, worth 20%. Section 2 is the writing. 1 document-based question, the DBQ, with 7 documents in 60 minutes including 15 minutes of reading, worth 25%, plus 1 long essay, the LEQ, in 40 minutes, worth 15%. 4 parts, 2 sections. The whole thing rewards pacing, so know this clock cold before you walk in. Here's the secret the College Board basically hands you. 7 recurring themes tie the whole course together. Interaction of Europe and the world, economic and commercial developments, cultural and intellectual developments, states and institutions of power, social organization and development, national and European identity, and technological and scientific innovation. Every single question connects to these. So stop memorizing random facts, start sorting them into these 7 buckets, and suddenly 500 years of history actually clicks into place. Real talk. The multiple choice is winnable, but this exam is decided in the essays. The DBQ and LEQ are where students gain or lose the most points, and they follow a strict, learnable rubric. A defensible thesis, contextualization, specific evidence, document analysis, and historical reasoning, causation, comparison, and continuity and change. Nail the formula, and you bank guaranteed points. I'm dropping a full writing guide that breaks down exactly how to score every rubric point. Do not skip it. And that's the entire AP Euro course, all 9 units, the exam format, the 7 themes, and the essays. You just reviewed 500 years of history in one sitting. But here's the truth I promised you at the start. Watching is not the same as knowing. The single fastest way to lock this in is active practice, so head to AIM5 and practice every unit for free, with instant feedback on every question. Links below. Now go get that 5. You've got this.